Hope you will enjoy this day of exchange and see you around during the day. Thank you, Blanca.
Hello. Thank you, Lauren, and hello, everybody. We warmly welcome everybody, as Lauren said, to the European Lab Budapest, part of Sphera project, and also here in the audience, and a very warm welcome to everybody who is watching us online, because the whole discussion and all the other panel discussions will be streamed as well on the social media platforms of European lab and also of Sphera, and it's also going to be broadcasted in Lamakun Radio. So as Laura mentioned, this is the shape of media for future generations. First panel discussion today. My name is Blanca Zöldi. I live here in Budapest, and I work as a chief editor of a new fact-checking website called Lakmus. And I'm very happy to welcome our panelists. Joffe Borschi, oh my God, Borschi from Lazy Woman. I'm so sorry. Marcin from Krzak, Poland. I've been practicing to pronounce the name correctly over lunch. And Anika Chorbeska from Sphera magazine, Macedonia. So hello, everybody. We've been actually talking about these very, very interesting projects that our panelists are leading, and we were thinking to actually introduce all these interesting projects through a more personal experience of our panelists. So as we are talking about, you know, the role of young generations in the media, I would very much say that we can be actually proud to say that we are all still quite young. And actually you have had quite some experience as a consumer of media, of traditional media from a very young age, but you still felt the need of actually creating something new and working on something new in your free time next to your paying jobs. So we would like to discover how you do it, what are the good examples, and what are the challenges that you're facing in your everyday life. So first I would like to take a round of intro just to introduce yourself. Like, how old are you? Where were you born? How did the idea of creating and working on a new platform came about? What did you read before actually starting your own media? Joffe, yeah.
So hello everyone, my name is Joffe Borschi. I'm originally from Budapest, Hungary, but I moved abroad at the age of 18 and briefly moved back during COVID. Now I live in Paris. I'm 24 and I'm the founder of Lazy Women, which is an English language feminist online collective and blog. And the question was to tell a bit about what I consumed.
Yeah,
before.
actually, when did you start reading anything apart from like childhood novels and stuff? When did you start actually consuming media?
So I think I started at a very early age. I remember there was this magazine called 13 magazine in Hungary. I don't know if anyone knows it, but it's like this typical like young women's magazine. But I always remember that I wasn't 13 because I wished that, I wish someday these issues will be important for me. So I probably started at around 9 or 10. And I grew up consuming a large amount of women's magazines. And I think that really influenced me, but also made me challenge the kind of usual women's magazine structure that you see. And the whole idea behind Lazy Women was to create a platform where women don't have to feel bad, and you don't have to be anything, and anyone can visit this site, anyone can contribute. I guess like the more specific inspiration came in lockdown, when I felt that the media I was following sent me this constant message that lockdown is a time where I need to improve myself, where I need to become skinnier, when I need to become cleverer, learn a new skill, or do something to come out from lockdown with this like enriched life experience, which just wasn't really happening. I was struggling writing my master's thesis, which wasn't really going anywhere. So yeah, that's how the idea came, to kind of like reclaim a space where anyone can be anything and there's no pressure on you to be whatsoever.
Anybody can be called lazy.
Yeah. And I think, okay, so there was another motivation that my boyfriend at the time called me lazy. So I was like going out with my girlfriends and like cheering to all the lazy women. And then realizing that, of course, women are not lazy. Women are doing so many things at the same time, often multitasking. And our society is not really giving value to the kind of like reproductive everyday tasks that women are in general more involved with. So it's also challenging this idea.
Okay, Marcin, how did the idea of working for Kshak came about for you?
Oh, hi, thanks for having me. Thanks, Sophie. Because I'm here, but I will speak sometimes as we, since I'm representing a group of friends from my collective that we work and do the gardening job together. So the question was how we started.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, just to introduce Marcin's collective, Kshak,
Yeah.
a little bit, as we learned, you started out from having basically a community garden, right? And
Yeah.
a little house, a
So-
gathering of people.
Exactly. So in like around 2017, it happened that we managed to have a little house in the city of in the middle of Warsaw in Poland. That was in the area of old wooden houses that were built in the middle of the city for the workers who were rebuilding the Warsaw after the Second World War. So this is like a very, let's say, a beautiful area, but also very important area in terms of the city structure, because of course the developers would like to take over that space easily because it's really in the middle of the city center. It's like a green island within the city. So around 17 or 20 little houses from 60s survived there, and we managed to get one of them as a group of friends, not really established properly. And actually, we just wanted to sort of escape from the media by doing the garden, because the idea behind the garden, it is that there was no really a plan for it. It was just like a motivation for an action to just sort of escape from the digital labor we are usually occupied with, to get into the material work more and to just have more time within the community and just have some more time together in this sort of landscape of allotment garden, let's say. And it was really an amazing journey that slowly, I'm not going to tell the whole story of how we were evolving and what we were doing, but basically we were organizing a lot of crowdfundings, venues, everything for fun and for free, concerts, small exhibitions with ecologically oriented art and for example protests, because as you know, in Poland we have to protest a lot, different things, and there was a moment that we start to have this idea that we might lose the house because of the municipality situation, but we were constantly working on how we can communicate maybe what we were doing in the garden into broader audience, or how we can keep this energy going. And that was the moment we also started to make a little magazine called Krzak Papier. And papier is Polish, so Polish word for paper, which can be also pronounced by not Polish speakers. And Krzak is a funny name. So just last sentence about the name of Krzak. During the transition moment in 90s in Poland, since I'm not going to pretend I'm a Z generation, I'm more like a millennial, um, the transition from socialism to capitalism was so rapid that so many companies were growing around, and everyone could establish their own company, and that so many companies have a legal structure behind it. So these companies started to be called in the mass media krzak, as a company without really legal structure that is not ready to operate yet, or is like a fake company just to launder money or so ever. So the name krzak, as krzak collective, is like, at the same time it refers to that concept, but also it means bush, like a little tree. So this is the story behind the name. And since that moment, we publish a magazine, and we participate in different projects where we are sort of activating the magazine within the different local contexts that I have some slides from projects that I could share later, maybe, when we dive deeper into the discussion. Thanks.
I got it working, so yeah, we can dive into this a little bit later. Yeah, Anika.
Hi, hello. I'm Anika Chorbeska. I'm a chef editor of the video materials that are posted on Scala magazine. Scala magazine is a platform for design and modern art. It's a space for young artists to promote their passion about art and what they do and show their latest projects. We have a digital platform, we have a magazine. It looks like this. I will hold it up a little bit so you can see the design, and hopefully I will motivate you to open the digital platform. Yes, this is harder than I expected to be. But you can look at it after I finish the discussion.
Well, maybe we can pass it on to the audience as well.
Maybe
If you want.
that's cool. Yeah.
So my question is actually, how did you get the idea of starting to work at a magazine at such a young age? What have you been consuming in terms of media before, and how is Scala different from that?
Well, I didn't get the idea. The idea came to me, my mentor, which is staying across the room right there. Hi, Dan. I started studying at the Visual Arts Academy at the School for Design and Academy, Jollof in the Arts. Design and Arts, Jollof in the Arts. And he came to me and said, like, look at this. He showed me the previous videos that were posted on Scala. Do you want to organize something like this? Do you want to take part of something like this? And I was amazed, and I said yes without even thinking. So I was interested in art, but I didn't know what part of me was connected with art. So at that moment, he knew that I wanted to study film production, so it helped me a lot to know how to organize stuff, the sets, the dialogues that we do. We have a set that's called dialogue sessions, where we invite two guests and we have a beautiful conversation on a pink couch, and we talk about we talk about social issues. The most of the people that we invite are not just artists, but people who are connected with psychology and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So we see that actually you have like a very, very wide range of actually talking to young audience as well. So you have art through Scala magazine, you have art, climate activism through SCAC, you have feminism and basically women's magazines issues. How much do you know about your audience as well? Are you actually measuring in any way whether you are reaching young generations? Are you actually consciously trying to talk to young generations?
Can I
Yeah, sure. Just go ahead. I think, just feel free, and, as ideas are popping into your mind.
Yeah, well, they're popping from everywhere. um, well, as a young student, because originally Scala is a student platform by students, for students, led by professionals. Um, Not only that we do podcasts and everything, but right now it's a location where people can share their photographs, their artworks, and everything like that. So we have so much more and more people that are coming to visit us, and that are paying attention to what we do and trying to share their experiences. So uh, when you participate in a platform like this, a digital platform, I think that you have the urge to make something. You have the urge to do something about what you love.
How many people are working actually at Scala's young group?
Well, right now we're about 20, 25 people, but uh, we're spreading and we're growing because originally the name Scala, translated, it means stairs, so it's a step higher while staying on the ground.
Hmm.
So the question is about the audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um, so, Ksak as a magazine or as a group of friends was never a project, and was never a media project. So it was never oriented on any sort of, mm, let's say, any sort of uh, direction towards a goal in terms of how projects are usually oriented or structured, so media projects. So basically, it was mainly an act of actions and an act of care as a group of people that sort of we try to keep it as open as possible. And so the idea was that if it's as open as we can, this sort of hospitality we try to provide within the space, that was our audience, and we didn't really calculate anything. We were just having joy of sharing the space, of organizing stuff, and also sharing the space on the pages of the magazine. So the idea behind the magazine, we had this problem about the idea of curation, because like these days everyone is a curator, right? Like we curate our content, our daily content, everything is curated somehow. So we had this problem with curation because we wanted to keep it as open as possible in terms of what can be included in there. So the idea for the editorial part was that we wanted to blend the scientific or more academia perspective on issues like climate change and environmental issues with very personal or poetic or very not professional culture producers' content that was coming to the magazine. And the idea for the editorial part was that we can mix those things together and see how they can resonate together. So just very basic idea is that, for example, in the first issue we have pictures of like a very established photographer, and next to that picture we have a sort of photo archive from different allotment gardens, metal gates that was collected by a complete amateur who was just doing this as a daily feed on Instagram, and he never respected his project as a photography project or something like that. But in our magazine, it goes together and it has sort of equal quality or equal value. So we didn't think, oh, we're gonna reach photographers now with more photography work. We're gonna reach more academia with more intellectual or essay-oriented work. We were just trying to sort of mix those things in a smart way, in a way that can be accessible to as many as possible. And we did like one big mistake, which is publishing in English. And that was like a biggest mistake I think we did in terms of our Polish audience. And now we're gonna publish at least bilingual, or we're gonna try to publish with no translation. So everything that comes in original language, and it's gonna be published in that way with some sort of expanded versions on website that will hopefully be possible, and we're gonna share all those things with multiple languages and as many projects and essays we can on the website that will expand the printed format.
Joffe, you started in English as well and still staying in English, right?
Yeah, for me this is very interesting what you're saying about like starting in English was a mistake, because for us it was also a bit of a debate whether we should be focusing on a Hungarian audience or a more international one. Maybe if you could go to the second picture. This one. This is like our first meeting or second meeting that ever took place. So we started in lockdown, which meant that also this, like still to this day, I haven't met some of our contributors because we work in this dispersed online format where we also don't live in the same countries and we are from different nations. So for us, like speaking one language that all of us understand is important because it's making the platform more accessible. At the same time, like there's this question of, okay, it's making it accessible on a global level, but does it reach the people who would like really need or who don't have the resource to see other medias? And about the audience, I come from like a social science background, and I was involved in political advertising before. So for me, it's like we do keep good track of who are our social demographics, just to be able to to see who is interested.
Can you share some details? Is it really the young women that you're targeting that is interested in your work?
So around 60% of our audience is between 18 and 24. The rest is between 24 and 26 or something like that.
Perfect.
Which is good, but actually our idea wasn't just to focus on young women.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have pieces published from all kinds of people, from all age groups. For example, there's an article I really love, which is written by the mom of one of our friends, who is looking at the same nude painting 30 years apart and kind of like reflecting on what like being naked as a woman means to her at the age of 20 and the age of 50. So I think, especially when it comes to feminism, it is really important to involve not only the younger generations, but also everyone who is coming from the older generations, for whom this whole concept of feminism might be even more abstract, or they don't really know what it is about. Also, like if you want to help like a women's movement, you must like involve all women, like from all ages, in my opinion. So this kind of intergenerational dialogue is one of our goals, mostly in the future, because currently, we do focus on the younger generations.
Yes, it always comes up as a very big challenge, actually, when talking about actually reaching younger audience. Sometimes you just feel that, oh my God, we don't even know how young people should be targeted, young people should be, communicated with. But at the same time, this is like a very inherent problem of generations apparently not being able to understand each other, how we communicate and what we communicate about. So, okay, apart from looking at different nude pictures in in different ages, what other strategies would you have to actually help and facilitate conversation between different generations? Do you have any type of solutions for this?
In my opinion, like especially since lockdown, it's been quite like online focused, everything we did. So it's also a question of which social media you use, because you're reaching different generations.
Okay,
and
which
different-
can we do a round? Which social media platforms
Ooh,
do you think
okay.
are the most efficient? Because, for example, now that we started out actually creating a new platform, we were told that, okay, you have to be on TikTok and you have to, I don't know, we are doing like fact-checking projects, for example, and I was saying that, okay, I cannot dance about a fact check or fake news or something like that. What are the good platforms that you think are useful today?
Go.
Yeah.
Okay, I will go. I think that social media has good sides and bad sides. Like we all get inspired for like, I see a cool plan, I want it. I see a cool moment that's so inspiring. I invite her to an interview and something like that. Like it's good for inspiration, but there's a lot of other informations posted on social media that are not so useful and that makes us more close with ourselves, and they make us feel more uh, how do I say this? They make us feel more not comfortable with ourselves. So I think that platforms like this, like Scala, like Shack, like Lazy Woman, they have all the important information sorted out. And when I want to see something about the women, I can go out and there's just useful information, and that's why it's so important for that platforms to exist.
Mhm. At the same time, really, we have seen during lunch as well that the first thing that you actually started sharing with each other was the
Yeah.
Instagram accounts, and
Yeah.
just to look at, for example, Lazy Woman's Instagram account and say that, wow, okay, actually, if we are looking at your graphic design, we would like straight away notice who you are and recognize you really really easily. So, for example, Instagram can be a very like visual way
Yeah.
of reaching people.
Like for
Yes.
us, I would
Mhm.
say Instagram is the most important platform, exactly because
Mhm.
because of this visual aspect. Because each and every of our article is designed, like a cover picture is designed by a different illustrator who all work for us on a voluntary basis. Everyone does, and it's incredible that these people are like, for example, this calendar, we also did like a physical product for charity this year, and it's every page was designed by a different illustrator. And if you go, I put a few illustrators.
Yeah, I'm trying to go.
But I can talk about social media in the meantime.
Yeah.
We do have like Facebook as well, but that's more useful for our physical events. So I think Facebook still has an advantage and you cannot escape it. And Twitter, LinkedIn, we don't yet have TikTok, but this is our logo. This is our movement lab, and then I think there will be pictures.
I'm really sorry. It's a little bit random how actually this notices when I'm clicking the button, so I don't want to interrupt you with this.
Okay, so we organize real life events as well, as you can see. It's like the main idea is to hold events in Budapest and London because most of our contributors are based in these two cities. But now we are expanding, and now here are the illustrations that I included. This one was an article about period poverty in Hungary. Yeah, I don't know if it's really slow. I don't wanna. It's a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe
We can
actually,
just-
Marcin, you've been mentioning actually that the very first time when you thought about your collective, it was about escaping the digital space and escaping productivity. And Joffe is mentioning actually the physical presence, the different activities are extremely important. So I'm wondering, what type of activities would you offer to your audience? What are the activities that actually you feel that attracted the most attention from people? How can you actually involve the people that you're talking to?
Yeah. Again, the idea of the audience is pretty vague for us as Kshak, but of course we cannot escape that. We can somehow speculate on this, but we don't really care about the audience, and not in a mean way, but in a way that we just want to invite people to participate. But we will participate anyway. If there will be no audience, then we will still do it. So this is maybe like with media is this, the idea of technology is that something goes and something ends and there is something new upon it. Usually it's like this, that for example, now there is this trend of listening music on cassettes, for example, again. But I bought few cassettes, but I didn't have the cassette player. So I had to buy a cassette player to listen the cassettes again. And I really enjoyed that. And I don't think it's an old medium in a way, you know, because it's still available. And this technology is pushing us to sort of think about this as old or as like not sufficient and enough. And this is this problem of productivity and data, like how many informations and how many things you can do. Of course, you can listen more songs on iPod, and then you can listen unfinished songs on Spotify, and so on and so forth. But this materiality of cassette, for example, is something that I feel like people are getting attracted again. So basically, behind the idea of the newsprint, it's nothing new in the design world to make a newsprint, but for us was important to make a cheap newsprint, so we can sell it almost very cheap, just to cover the production costs, and that people don't feel really feel like with a very expensive item that you have to like store and taking care of. It's like a daily thing you can read everywhere. So yeah, we just wanted to recover a bit this newspaper with the format within the landscape of Warsaw, but later in different places in few bookstores around Europe. And thanks to this, let's say, little distribution with it, because it's funny concept also with the technicality in production. We struggle a bit to produce the magazine because we couldn't manage to sell 5,000 copies, because the only way to print in that way was to print 5,000 copies. It was too much. Like we couldn't even store it anywhere in our like studios or. So we were trying to find a printer that can print like, hey, can you print 700? No, we print only from 10,000 copies. Okay, can you print like 1,000 copies? We can print 2,000 copies. Okay, but we pay for 700. Can you print 700? And we finally found a place who was able to print us 700 that we pay for like 5,000. But this is funny how you have to navigate with the scale of your, let's say, project, and that was like a nice lesson that is actually possible.
And probably with the first print magazine that you had with the topic of waste, as I remember, it wouldn't have been too wise to throw away like a couple of thousand copies of your first magazine, I think. Definitely.
But we were lucky with the first issue, and we sold and distributed almost everything. So the few copies I have in here is like very last 10 or 15 copies we have. But yeah, that was a nice printing journey. But yeah, just for us, the idea of newspaper is neither old or new. It's just, it is what fits to us. And I think for any generation, it's just they can use whatever they fits, what fits them as a communication tool, because we all communicate something in different ways.
Do you think print is coming back actually for young generations? With Sphera magazine, actually, you would have some idea whether your print magazine or digital magazine is most popular. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that the printed version, it's also very nice because it's a whole different experience. Like when you film analog photographies, for example, like it's the need to write something on paper, it's the need to read, but a lot less people are trying to read. So by that, we need to have a digital platform, and we need to have a space where we can do audio-visual moments like the TV Scala studio, the podcast that we do, the other stuff that we do. It's important to have both of them because there are people who still read. For example, I watch my grandmother every day read the newspaper and something like that. So
And is she reading Scala as well?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's important because people still read books. They should read magazines. They should read everything. So, and it's not that Generation Z. It's so technological. Like we fight about the stuff that we want. We want to. Um, uh, uh, Fight about the social issues that happen, but in order to get a wider audience, we need to do it digital because not so young people are motivated to read. Yeah.
Okay, we have the feeling that you're actually putting so much energy into your work and into creating something new, but actually we should be aware that this is something that you do in your private life as something extra, something voluntary, something that is next to your daily paying jobs, right? So how do you actually manage your life? I'm sorry for the very, very simple question, but honestly, one can feel that it's really, really important for you. But at the same time, how do you find the time and energy to actually sacrifice for this type of work?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the whole concept of laziness is becoming a bit paradoxical because I'm everything but lazy at this point in my life. But it's also the fact that I do have, like, with me a large team, some of whom who are here right now, and it's really nice. And so it's also about, like, sharing responsibilities. I always tell everyone who, like, takes up on a project within Lazy Women that, okay, this is yours now. Like, take responsibility for it and feel free to do whatever you want with it. On a practical level, I have a 9-to-5 job. Every day I go to work. Before I get up, I usually start my day with answering all the Lazy Women related emails. And I usually like to edit also in the morning before I go to work. So with my
The
morning
lazy
coffee,
woman, yes.
yeah, the lazy woman gets up in early morning to work on the articles. Yeah, but I really enjoy it, and I think that's what makes me motivated, is that I finally found something for which I don't feel like that it's time consuming, that it's exhausting. I don't feel any of these, and it's simply because I'm enjoying it. And that sounds very cliche, but I really didn't have such a big calling before. So I think that's probably the trick.
Yeah, so maybe because I'm talking about this imaginary garden, so I would like to share some images of that garden.
Can somebody actually? Yes.
Ah, there is a laptop. Can I?
I'm getting. Yeah, maybe I'm too close.
No, there is this laptop, I think.
Or maybe your hand is better for that. So.
You want to say about the logo? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the question about how to do the voluntary sort of project or
Yes.
work.
how do you find the time, and how do you actually convince people to be involved?
Yes, so this idea was always in between leisure and labor, always as an activity of something you want to do. At some moment in time of the garden, we had around 50 or 60 people on Facebook group that could just join and water the plants and do whatever was needed to do at that time. So it was sort of easy to handle those things, and also not so hard to organize events because, yeah, we were a lot of people willing to help. With the magazine is of course a bit different because not so many people works on that. But we are good friends, and we also invite external curator, like editor, who is like helping with open call and selection. We started with the second issue, and now with new issues we will probably try to collaborate more with other institutions or other people who will be willing to just to also collaborate on with us. So yeah, that was our little space that we also work, organize events, concerts, exhibitions. The food production was really small, was actually symbolic, just an act of care. And
But you did have some tomatoes.
we had, and it also happened that people were stealing them. And that was so weird, you know, you have like 20 tomatoes and people are like stealing them still. But we also felt like, okay, maybe someone will have some nice dinner out of it, or at least, yeah, someone who really needs food got it. So when the garden story sort of finished, because we lost the house because of that was the insight when we lost the garden, we started the magazine. And I will just maybe briefly describe how we used to work on the magazine. Yeah, we did it during the free time, but of course we all passionate about print design, editorial work, and all the amazing subjects we are including inside. So we were just happy to do it. But when things get more complicated, when it comes to make commissions, because at some certain moment, people started to write to us with different proposals, with different actions to do, with different commissions. And that was the moment when some sort of money came and some sort of responsibility. And with this money, of course, was not enough to cover the cost for like 10 or 15 people involved in the project. So we could never earn on that. But there were some money always. So I think it was a bit of a struggle to work that way, to work on commissions or to work with some art institutions, because yeah, there was way much work than making a magazine in your own time when you have like a schedule and deadline for some sort of action. But we did some actions from the magazine. Oh, it's very slow, sorry. No, yeah, I just wanted to show how we sort of activated the magazine in the public space. But maybe, oh yeah, that was like an exhibition in Museum of Modern Art in Warsaw, where they did an exhibition, like a collective show about sort of the end of the world we know. And this was this wooden fire oven was an art piece by gardening collective Future Farmers and design collective. And this item was on the exhibition as an item that you can just see and read the description on that. And we did this activation in front of the museum by making these traditional flatbreads and selling the magazine in front of the gallery as a sort of another type of action. Just you do it immediately with an art piece, with an art object here in different context, and that was fun. And we were really happy, even if it was middle of lockdown, but it was outside. With this little fog, we did also the message with the Morse sign, the message from the fog. Another example was that we translated all the contributors into an audio piece in a form of a little exhibition. So the audio from the text were play out loud in the little gallery, and then we had a live conversations with contributors around the world. So yeah, and this was a lot of work, and that was the moment when we realized we have to think how to continue, because yeah, this is a lot of work to do, but we still want to do it. So now we are in the process of thinking how we can continue.
Anika, you're also working on a voluntary basis next to actually studying as well.
We all are.
You all students, or
well,
just doing
so
voluntary work for the magazine?
Yeah, we're all volunteer at Scala, and that's amazing. I mean, we all have the passion to do it. We all have the love to do it. So, how do I keep up with it? Because I'm studying. Well, I think it's a part of my study. It's a part of my life. Like every musician needs to play 7 hours a day to get things done and to be a good musician. My job is to meet people, to interview them, to find them, to organize the set. So it's not that hard. Actually, it's fun and I love it, and it's an amazing adventure. And I learn a lot of stuff from all the people that we do an interview with, or a video with, or a podcast, or something like that. It's amazing, and the others, like they love to do it, but it's the same problem like with the other organization. It's because we don't get a lot support from the institutes, but I think by the time we will actually might get it, because what we're doing is really important. Yeah.
And could you actually imagine like completely changing your life and doing this as your 9 to 5 job? Would it be actually possible? Can you think about any type of, sustainable models for this type of work that you're doing, or would you consider that this is the future for the future of media for younger generation, that passionate people like you are doing as kind of like hobby and activities next to their paying profession? Because I would love to hear that there is a possibility to actually make it sustainable and live for what you really love to do, but maybe you have some ideas about it.
In terms of the activity, yes, I would definitely love to do this as a full-time job, although I really love my current job as well. But I was thinking about what you were saying, the whole question of independence as well. Like, are you more independent if you're completely not dependent on any of these monetizing structures? But of course, it can be helpful. For example, if I could pay, or if we could pay the contributors, we could attract like a much more diverse set of writers than those who currently have all the resources, all the privilege and energy to do this while still working or studying. So the question of money is a big one. In terms of models, it's also tricky for lazy women. When we first started, we actually had like a big boost after that in terms of readership, and we were kind of jumping ahead and imagining that, okay, like in a year this will become like a official site or whatever.
What do you mean by official? Like receiving advertisement revenues, or?
Yes. So but then obviously, like we thought about the whole concept of advertising and how that would contradict our mission, like especially that advertising targets your deepest insecurities, especially if you're a woman. So imagine going to Lazy Women, reading an article about mental health and productivity, and then like a big diet advertisement jumping in your face. Like that just wouldn't work. Also, yeah, I think, yeah, with any kind of funding, you get like a sort of vision or like a responsibility. And currently, I think it's really nice that we can just really promote our own view and own narrative and give space to any sort of narratives without having to think about, okay, but what will this person think who is giving us money? So yeah, it's a tricky one. And also we don't want to do like a membership-based model. That was also a question, because that would further limit who can access this kind of content. It's already limited by who speaks English and who has a laptop, who has a phone, who has the time to care about these issues that are often quite abstract and not, it's like post-materialist values. But yeah, so currently I'm quite happy with the fact that it's completely independent and just a fun hobby that I love doing.
You also have some activities, as you showed on the picture, such as the lazy movement lab.
Yeah.
Lazy movement lab. It's all getting like, not very lazy, and do it yourself workshops. These are all free as well and open to anybody.
All of them are free or donation based, and open to anybody. And the whole concept of the lazy movement lab is also like moving, but without the pressure to, like this is not a workout to become like fit or have better abs, but it's a bit like a contact dance. And I also met a few really interesting people through these workshops, so it's about meeting people as well.
Marcin, where are you with the thinking actually about the future of your project?
Also, Sophie mentioned this, I think, very important question is this payment for contributors. And this is something that we are, that's why we took a break. We didn't publish last year because we wanted to think more and have some time. And we need to pay for the contributions because we couldn't like afford the payment back then. But now, of course, we are applying for grants because we want to pay. We want to include those little even salaries for the projects that are coming and texts that are coming to our magazine. And this is our main goal for now, because we believe that this is very important. Because we got so many amazing, texts and projects for free, just for sake of distribution, and that was very generous. And we are sort of privileged to also have time to work on it for free. But when you have something that you really want to do, I think in some way or another this money can arrive at some point. Like we could grow bigger, but we just didn't want to grow. Like we didn't want to grow with this project or call it even a project. So that was a conscious decision not to grow and not to work on it full time. It was just like stay like it is, keep on going with those things and activities and just choose what you want to do. But for now we want to pay for the contributions. So if anyone will be interested in applying this is an important thing, I think.
And are you going to have a garden again?
Hopefully. We are working on that.
Cool. And there's maybe, I'm not sure how sensitive this question is, but why did you lose the garden?
It was a matter of, so this profits and consequences of not being organized or not being established as a foundation or whatever, or
so bureaucracy.
Yeah, sort of. We were working off the grid and like almost squatting the place. So it was not proper squatting, but somehow squatting that was accepted. But at some point, there's city rules and so on. But yeah, I hope we're gonna make one again soon. We got one offer from Leipzig actually, in Germany, because we did a residency there, and in Germany, in Leipzig, there is the biggest amount of allotment gardens in Europe, and they have a lot of space, and they gave us this opportunity to maybe have a garden there, but it's a bit hard out of the context, to be out of the place that you don't know so well.
And La Scala have any plans for actually widening your, your workload, the people that are working, or actually making it a non-voluntary basis, or this is a line that you want to follow?
I think that's our next step, because our work requires a lot of equipment, a lot of people, and everything. We do it, we love it, but it would be good if we have some sort of like this. Yeah, thank you. If we have some kind of support to engage even more and to have more production, more videos, more stuff that we can do, because wow, okay. Yeah, that will be our next step. So
Okay, looking forward to it. I think we are going to open the floor for questions as well. If anybody is interested in something that I haven't asked from the panelists, then feel free, and we can, I guess, pass on the mic as well, or just throw it in.
No.
Well, then I would still have, a little bit of like an, inspiration for anybody who would like to, sacrifice time for working at such magazines and publications, because we had some very inspiring thoughts while we were talking, like about the best feedbacks or the most heartwarming feedbacks that you got for your work. Could you just, emphasize some of those, your favorite ones?
Yeah, so the one we were talking about is probably my favorite one. We received a long message from a Hungarian school teacher who is teaching English in actually a religious high school in Hungary. And she used our articles for the English classes, but also to kind of introduce some feminist ideas to the class, which, it went down, but she did say that they had like a very lively debate after that. So I think for me that was like a very heartwarming thing, because this is exactly the kind of impact ideally we would like to have with Lazy Women.
To generate discussion.
Generate discussions and debates as well, because one thing I didn't mention is that I really thought that someone would ask me from the audience that, like, okay, what is feminism? Like, what is your definition? Because it often comes up. But Lazy Women is not there to give a concrete definition of that. It's more to give space for different concepts of feminism, or different aspects of womanhood, or anyone who identifies with any of that. And also we had a couple of articles that like reflected on each other. So like for some the idea of like kind of putting your body on display and making money out of it is feminist. For others, it's completely against feminism. So I'm very much open to any discussions like that, and to facilitate that with Lazy Women.
Cool. We were happy when we received some emails that were like, hey, thanks so much, I use your magazine as a reference in my thesis, or yeah, it was like really interesting and I included this in an article. So we were really happy that our content got influenced other content, and also that people could just be happy of seeing their project, or the text written, printed, distributed, was always a real pleasure. And we also we organized this always this event of the first issue opening, and amazing energy. Always giving the energy from this event was a big reward for the hard work.
Anika, for you, the best feedback you got?
I think my favorite one is when I walk around the exhibition that we're doing and I see the expression on people's faces and they're debating about the picture and everything. It's priceless to see that. It's priceless to see people socialize and giving a appreciation for what you do. And there was an interesting reaction from the guy that I met on the bus. He opened the magazine and he was like, "Oh my God, wow, what you do is really amazing." So yeah, it's the impression of and the expression of people's faces when they saw what we do and the debate after the podcasts and everything. Even when I see the podcast, like I wasn't feeling good at a time, and I heard a podcast about. There was a talk about yoga and everything, and after that I started doing yoga and I was like, oh my God, I feel amazing. Damn, wow.
Direct
Yeah.
effect on people's lives, definitely.
Can I just I really agree with both of you, and also this fact that you emphasize that like the real life like meeting or like real life community is incredibly important. And for us, when we organized our first real life event, it was completely different than like getting feedback online or like seeing comments or the growing number of likes. Of course, it's great, but when I saw that people actually felt our event worthy of coming, it's like it's completely different. So yeah, I just wanted to give this real life impact of further emphasis.
I think that's the beauty of platforms because there's a lot of people involved and there's a lot of people who will evolve and yeah, I forgot my my message, but it's okay. I will get to it.
No, I
Maybe
think
after that.
I think that was a beautiful message as well. I mean, however much we are growing on platforms and growing with likes, actually real life events, actually how this one is actually like meeting people, meeting with audience. That's the real thing. I also have to agree. If anybody has any question, Born, yes, please.
I will briefly take off my mask. My question is for Joffe. I'm interested in, since you're an English website, how do you sort of advertise yourself?
Sorry, please, the microphone.
Thank you. I'm interested in how lazy women advertise yourself to reach an audience, and if you know how many of your readers are actually from Hungary.
Thanks for the question. I think regarding the second part, more than half of our readers are Hungarian, and then the second biggest group is people from the UK. So that was our original goal as well, to have this double hub, and it's working quite well. Because it was a project that I started with my friends who were mostly Hungarian, who moved abroad for university, it's, I think, a direct consequence of that. But we see that whenever we write someone from Lazy Women who is from, for example, we have a Brazilian contributor or a Turkish contributor, and we talk about the issues that are important for those kind of places, then we see like a massive jump in that audience. So, but currently the 5 countries that are reading Lazy Women the most, and this has been pretty consistent in the past 2 years, are Hungary, the UK, the US, France, and maybe I forgot the last one, but it's Germany or Italy. I don't remember. So that, and how do we advertise ourselves? Well, we don't really like, as we don't have any money, we don't advertise ourselves, but we have a very heavy presence on social media, and also a physical presence in the form of stickers. So hopefully you will see some stickers here in the event as well. And we organize several like events for members or contributors, where in different cities we go out and we put out a lot of stickers. Some of them are quite like provocative. I don't think they are particularly provocative, but
what is considered provocative?
Well, like we had that like heart illustration that
which is actually your sticker as well.
Yeah, which was also one of the pictures, but yeah, which was, for example, several times taken down from Instagram. We often have this problem actually.
Because it shows a nipple, right?
Yeah,
that's against Instagram's.
The nipple and the vagina, so it's like both. So yeah, it's also interesting to see what is considered provocative or you know, not meeting the right guidelines online. And in the offline spaces, the people are much more open to it, and actually they recognize it more than, like, we also have stickers with our logo, but like that's nice, but what else is there? We often put out this sign like, have you ever been called lazy? Which is just a question, but a lot of people write to us after they see the sticker on Instagram that for example, I had this other experience quite recently that a girl wrote to us after seeing this sticker, have you ever been called lazy, who has vaginismus, and she often got like this feedback that she's just not open enough for having sex, which sounds horrible, that she got this feedback, but she saw this sticker and she felt the need to find out what this was. So yeah, these are some of our tools at the moment. Yeah, and just spreading the word, and yeah, through people we meet.
If there are no more questions, then thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for our panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we wish you some very nice experience with your work, with the conference itself. And the next panel will be on independent cultural actors, starting in 15 minutes. So
and also, if you want to become a contributor or anything, or if you want to find out more, then please feel free to reach out and yeah, find me here.
Yeah. This is an answer to your question, how platforms are getting advertised. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.